I think we all believe that this was the final nail in the coffin. Again, with the Meller lingo.
Can we stop with the death references, Meller?
Did not kill anybody. I thought Silvy was going to say coffin. He said cardigan.
So this is Schefter about Eberflus's future.
You started from Chicago, right? Because there have been some people speculating on the future of Matt Eberflus. Justin Fields is one of the biggest questions of this offseason, and what the Bears are going to do with what we think will be the number one overall pick that they own from the Carolina Panthers. And do they use that pick on a quarterback? Do they go and trade that pick for more picks? What do they do with that pick? And that obviously will impact Justin Fields. And there might be a team out there, if the Bears decide to go draft a quarterback, that is not going to have access to go get the quarterback it wants. So then Justin Fields becomes a tradable item here where he becomes attractive for another team. That becomes interesting what the Bears do with their head coach. Now, my understanding going into the weekend was that Eberflus, they had won 2 in a row. They had put together some strong performance. They played very well yesterday. They had a real chance to win that game in Cleveland. I think he's won some support here, and I think that he's fighting to keep his job, and he's got a chance to save his job there in Chicago. And then the question becomes what happens with the quarterback.
That's Schefter. If you were in Vegas, where would you put the line?
So
it's a Christmas season. It's hard to talk about people losing their gigs, but this is reality. It's reality. It's reality. It's better than talking about death the way that Meller was earlier.
Look, real people are losing their jobs. Those are the this guy's going to walk away with a $3 million parachute.
It doesn't make it any worse to that person.
He's gonna
I get it. Nobody. You want to get fired?
When people bring up the stuff about a coach losing his job, this is what they signed up for.
I get it.
This is a transient life of a coach.
Okay, it's still not fun.
Okay,
win more games, and then we won't talk about you being fired.
Blow all these end of the fourth quarter shocking.
Of course. Set the line.
Like,
do you know how to set the line?
Yeah, I'm trying. Is
it a minus? Is it a big favorite? Is it a minus 175?
Yeah.
Is it an underdog plus 130?
No. He is like it's like minus 210 that he is not the coach of the Bears.
Okay.
I would. What do you guys think?
I think at least that.
What would you put it at?
I'd go minus 225. Somewhere between minus 200 and minus 225. It's just, again, it's the nature of the business. Not to be, cold and calculate, but it's the nature of the business. It's the nature of any business. If you don't do well, that's, me, I have a hard time when everyone says, well, sports is really, No, it's in every walk. If you don't do your job, regardless of what your job field is, if you don't meet the standard requirements, you're probably going to be searching for a new line of work, or at the very least, a new home for whatever it is you do. I think listen, if for whatever reason they move on from him, he'll find a job.
He'll be a linebackers coach or a DC.
Yes.
I think it should be like minus 300, minus 350 at least.
You think so? That high?
But no, I think it should be. The only thing,
listen, Jeff, this is the reason why I think that there is still, the conversation about, look, last year, everybody knew, nobody held it against him. Everyone knew what the process was. We're going to lose as many games, not intentionally, but we're going to strip this thing down to the studs, and the natural reaction to that is we're going to lose a ton of games. So nobody held the 3 wins and 14 losses against the coach last year because of what they were doing. This year, it's different. As we all said, look, we understand we're going to be patient in 2022 and 2023. A lot of that patience goes out the window, and everyone's going to be held more accountable. With that said, it hasn't materialized in several ways that you would hope that it had. The reason why I think this is a different or it's not minus 325 is because these guys came in together and Ryan chose him.
Right.
If
Unlike Fields.
if they were on different tracks or different schedules, I think that it wouldn't even be much of a question. But because
Maybe if Kevin Warren wasn't here, he'd have a better shot of even staying then.
maybe so. And I don't know what their conversations are up at Hallis Hall, but there are things that have transpired over the course of the last. How many games have they played? 14?
Yeah, 14.
They're 5-9 now.
I mean, just like you got to say, certain things aren't good enough.
At every turn, and Sylvie, you put up the poll about what's been the most disappointing loss
let
this
me
year, right?
Pull that up.
And
I'll go back to A.
Well,
My choice is A every time.
And that's the thing, though. There's 3 historical meltdowns on your Twitter poll, and then there's the opener against your division rival at home.
And you completely laid an egg.
Yeah. And so, like, that set the tone of the season.
It did for me, Jeff. It's still to this point the worst loss of the year from my perspective.
Terrible taste in every Bears fan's mouth. And then that set the tone for the first 4 games where, the Bucks game was a bad, the pick 6 by Fields, which they had a chance to win that one. The Chiefs, they were uncompetitive. They got their doors blown off. The Broncos, the first historical loss that they authored earlier this season, and so
that's the worst to me.
Yeah,
that's
sucked.
a home game. They're coming off a 70-point game against Miami. They were reeling. Russell Wilson, who knew about...
They were underdogs in that game, weren't they? Also, were they?
Were the Bears?
Yes, at home against the Broncos.
A team that had given up 70 the week before.
They were up 3 touchdowns late in the third quarter. They were up 3 touchdowns.
And so then even when they kind of get the rig back on the road a little bit with a win over the Commanders and the Raiders, they're still like a losing football team record-wise. They beat the worst team in the league, the Panthers, to get them to 3. And then again, when they've got a chance to kind of show you, okay, we can get this thing turned around, the beginning of the season, it's in the past. No, they blow another loss to the Lions. And then when you try and say, okay, well, they beat the Lions last week.
Right.
Maybe they're turning it around. No, again, another historical loss. And every turn.
This is the best version of themselves is this game, right? It's when they've matured the most. They should have learned from those past defeats and when they should have learned how to finish, and yet they still don't.
The 5 quarterbacks you've beaten this year are Hal, Hoyer, Young, Dobbs, and Goff. And Goff was in your building where you match up well against him, and it's not a controlled environment.
35% of you have voted that the worst game for the Bears is the opener against the Packers.
That's where I voted.
22.5% are with me with the Broncos choke. 22.7% with the Lions choke. 19.9% with the latest choke against the Browns.
I voted. I thought the first game of the season just set the tone in so many bad ways. The Packers are the youngest team in the National Football League.
Yeah, and they
came into your building. Came into your building. And basically ran you out of your own building when we were trying to reestablish ourselves as a team to have to deal with in the NFC North.
Think about it, Sylvie. 3 historically bad losses, and none of those are the worst loss of the season.
It's incredible. Here's what I would say, too, and this is what I was thinking about with Eberflus, because believe it or not, there are still people who think I'm being too hard on Eberflus. And here's what I would say to them. Like, oh, Sylvie, like they've grown under Eberflus. There are going to be between 8 and 10 job openings, correct, this year?
It's hard to tell.
Okay, but what do you think? 8 or 8?
7 to 9, something like that.
7
you're
to
in
9.
That, you're in that
Whatever there
neighborhood.
are. There are going to be a lot of job openings. If Matt Eberflus is free this offseason as a head coach...
Nobody's knocking on his door.
So then why is he your solution?
He's not.
That's my point. So when everyone says, well, give Eberflus another shot, there wouldn't be another team knocking on Matt Eberflus's door right now if he becomes free to hire him as their head coach.
He'll have plenty of phone calls to be somebody's
I'm not
DC.
asking you that.
But he won't
I'm
get
not
it.
asking you that.
I get it.
But that's not the. That's not. But Justin
We've already
Fields,
said to you that
Justin
nobody's
Fields,
gonna
on
get the
other
call.
hand, Justin Fields, on the other hand, say what you want about him. When he becomes free, he will be a quarterback solution for another team.
Yes.
Matt Eberflus will not be one person solution
As a head
for a
coach.
head coach. And I wouldn't, if I was an owner, I wouldn't hire Matt Eberflus as a DC, not when he is blown as the defensive coordinator 3 games on a historic level. Why would I? If Alan Williams did the same thing, you wouldn't hire Alan Williams. Why does Matt Eberflus get the excuse?